I hate this game. I hate this game. Gears of War 2 is one of the best video gaming experiences I had in the past 5 years. Gears 5 is one of the worst. It's remarkable how bad this game is, and it sucks because it's one of my favorite franchises of all time, and it's just tainted with Gears 5. This campaign, in my opinion, was so bad. Um, I have so much to say. I have so much to say about it. And okay, so I don't go all over the place. I just need to go in orders of the acts. All right, let's start with Act One, and I'll give credit where credit's due. Like I'll highlight the good parts of it. I thought Act One started off strong. I thought it was cool when you're going back to Azura and to look for like the Hammer of Dawn rocket research, that they kind of pulled that thread from the dialogue of Baird and Adam Phoenix in Gears of War 3. When I first played Gears 5 in 2019, it was too long since I played Gears 3, so I forgot all the names and locations and stuff. So marathoning it, I was like, oh, we're going back to Azura. That's really cool. That was a cool direction to go in. And this part of the game honestly felt like Gears of War. I thought that, Act 1 pretty much as a whole felt like Gears of War, and Gears 5 mechanically it plays good. Okay, it absolutely plays good. It's juicy, it feels good. One of my big critiques of Gears of War 4 is like with the control sensitivity, it never felt right for me. It's still the only one in the franchise that I never got honestly feeling good. Gears 5 I got feeling good really quickly. Might have been the quickest in the entire franchise. I got my control sensitivities feeling like really good and comfortable, and it's juicy. The game's juicy. You got your hit markers, like the graphics look great. Uh, they kind of with the headshots with lancers. I mean, it's juicy, but I don't know, they kind of like I don't know, trivialize the headshot. It's not special anymore. Like, oh, the lancer can now do a headshot, but I don't know. It's like it feels very esportsy. Like this game mechanically definitely felt like it was multiplayer first. They wanted to get like that esports vibe, and it's juicy. I mean, it's like okay, cool. Like yeah. It's juicier than Gears 1 and 2. It's cool. You kind of expect that from a modern gaming. It's not necessary for Gears of War, but it's kind of cool. So, yeah, this first part in Azura, it felt like Gears. And then you get to the rocket section, and they are trying to get the rocket to get the Hammer of Dawn satellites into space, so that way they could use them. And it's the rocket's stuck, and they're like, okay, we got to abort the mission. And JD's like, no, we have to do it. So he's kind of being a douche about it, and he goes in there, and Marcus gives him a talking later. It's like, that was not like if you died there, that was not going to be a noble sacrifice. Like that was stupid. There was other ways. Like this was not necessary. But my biggest complaint with this part is when they're leaving. So they successfully get the rocket out, and they're leaving, and Dell's like, oh no, Dave is still in there. Dave's like this like robot that's like replacing Jack basically, and Dave's like a really stupid name. It's like, and he runs back in there and literally like he risks his life to save this robot, this Dave robot. And so he risks and gets, and Kate's like, it's just a robot. And I'm like, yeah, like this is stupid. Like this is just the dumbest. This is stupid. And but what makes it even more dumb, so he risks his life to save this robot, and in the very next scene of the game, Baird gives you Jack, and it's like that meme, like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Like, you never hear Dave again. Like, you don't care about it. He's been replaced by Jack. And so Dell risks his life for this robot, and then immediately doesn't care about it anymore. It's stupid. There's just bad writing. It's just, it's dumb. So then, yeah, you get to New Ephyra. There's a little bit of lore that's sprinkled in. You kind of learn about Anya's death, how she helped, like, with the research of helping to, like, help give birth and help repopulate the world, which is like, all right, that's like some cool lore just sprinkled in there almost randomly. But yeah, not too much happens in this part. You kind of learn about Jack and the whole like the upgrade like RPG system, which like the components of, I think, makes the game even more horrible. I know it's to incentivize like exploration and like the side quests and the open world that comes later in the game. But even in Act 1, for as good as I do think Act 1 is, like in terms of feeling like Gears of War, the next part when you go to Settlement 2, every single building you're incentivized to, like, as like the characters are talking, instead of like flowing naturally with the game, you're like always looking for collectibles. Like, even if you don't care about collectibles, because the components help upgrade Jack and therefore make you stronger, you're always incentivized to just kind of look at every nook and cranny, and it just makes the game feel like the flow of the game completely inorganic and slow, and you always have to look around the corner because what if there's a component, and it's just, if I don't know, it just feels so unnecessary. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you want to look for collectibles for like achievements and stuff like that, but other times, like, ignore the collectibles. I just want the game to flow well, and it's just this things like hanging over your shoulders. There's like, you always have to be looking for components, and it just, yeah, it makes the game, like, even the good section of the game feel like a slog because you always kind of have to be looking for the components. Uh, but yeah, you go to Settlement 2, which was kind of cool. That's like, this is kind of an idea from Gears of War 4 that they're kind. It feels better in this game. You're going to those cog settlements. Uh, most of this feels pretty good when you're fighting the swarm. I do think it was silly where they have like, oh, the swarm can take over the robots. And they're like, like, it makes no sense why that they could do that, but like they're like, oh well, I don't know, they like wanted to reuse the assets of Gears 4. Like, we have all these like robot enemies, we got to find a way to make it so that way you're fighting with the robot enemies also, which I think is completely unnecessary. The robots felt like kind of like a necessary component in Gears of War 4 until they brought the Swarm back. But now that the Swarm's back, it's like we really didn't need the robots. And I don't know if this was just to get like those stealth missions in, which were like kind of cool, those like stealth segments. But again, like, never really felt like Gears of War. Felt completely unnecessary. I never got through one of these stealth segments without like waking up the robots anyway, and it turning into a firefight, which was just more fun than sneaking around and trying to disable all the robots. But yeah, so for the most part, Act 1 was still good. One of the key parts is you get to like this monument, and Dell and Kate, they're like remembering the fallen. Like, apparently there was like this, and I think this might be from like a novel. That's the vibe I get, is one of like the books. Um, that there was like this part where, because like Kate and Dell don't like Foz because he like open fired on civilians, and Foz is just like, I was just following orders, and then JD's like, I'm the one who gave those orders to open fire like on these civilians, and Kate and Dell, like, they completely turn on JD. They're like, you've been being weird lately, but like now, like, we really can't trust you, and like there's this, so that's like the moment of the game where like Kate and Dell like almost like hate JD for like what he did, and like they can't forgive him. And that's like, that's key for later. But so yeah, you keep going through the Settlement 2 stuff, and one of the key set pieces that like I really didn't like was the theater part where you first meet one of the stump enemies. Um, there's a theater scene in Gears of War 1, in like the remaster with like the Brumac part, like the deleted scene from the original game. I don't really like that theater part either, but I did think that was better than this one. Like, the difference is this time you're like on the stage, and like there's just like silly background music going on. I really did not like this part of the game at all. But one of the key parts of that is like when you're behind stage before you get to that fight with the stump, they talk about Jace. Apparently Jace is still alive after Gears of War 3, and he like joined Broadway or whatever. And then like, I don't know, they're like, I hope like he's all right. And then like Marcus is like, trust me, Jace will be fine, he can handle himself. Like, Jace is like a trained soldier and all of that. And I'm just like, man, like, in Rom's Shadow, like the story of Jace, like, he has like a reason to fight like the Locust and everything, and like, he's in Gears 3. It's like this character that's completely wasted. It's like, oh, but like now all of a sudden like, the Swarm's back, and like he's the only one who doesn't want to fight anymore. Like, Clayton Carmine's back fighting, everybody's back fighting, but like not Jace. And like they even gave him a backstory to explain why he wants to fight like the Locust and everything. But now that they're back, he's just like, nah, like, whatever. Like, he's not part of the COG army. Like, what a wasted character Jace was. Uh, Perfect. I thought he was kind of wasted in Gears 3. It's like, why do I care about this guy? And like they even explain that he's still alive and stuff in Gears 5. I don't know. I think it's just like kind of like the Azura stuff. Like, here's another reference. Here's another reference for you guys, which is like, they do not stop this throughout all of Gears 5. Like, at least Gears 4 had some like was mostly like original content and ideas. It all fell flat with none of it was executed good, but at least it was original. Gears 5 is completely piggybacking and trying to like fan service the entire time. So yeah, and end of act one. JD does the same thing he did in the rocket scene at the beginning of the game, where he's just like trying to make his noble sacrifice, use him as the beacon from the Hammer of Dawn. It completely misfires. It's not accurate. Like the whole Hammer of Dawn, I guess, was like premature. It wasn't. They didn't have like the coordinates right. Baird decides to fire it, and it like fries JD's arm. And there's a 4 month time skip after this. So remember, 4 months. Kate and Dell basically hate JD for this like entire 4 months. 4 months skip. Now we're on Act 2. And it starts out again with a reference. You go to visit Oscar, who that was the big after credit scene in Gears of War 4 is that Oscar's still alive. So you go hunt down and want to meet with Oscar to try to have him and his tribe join the COG army. And like that, there's like a settlement that's in the Riftworm that you destroyed in Gears of War 2. So the bones of that Riftworm that Marcus and Dom and Baird and Cole that they defeated, a settlement has popped up and people are living in it. And so like they talk about that too. They're like, I can't believe that Marcus like helped destroy this Riftworm and all that. And this whole part, it's like it turns into a walking simulator. I feel like I was playing like Final Fantasy 16, where I'm like meeting all these villagers and stuff. And it was just like they kind of had those parts in like Gears of War 1, but they were really quick. And this one just like dragged on. And you have to look into every building because of components. And there are components throughout it. So as soon as you find that first one, you're like, I got to check every building in case there's a component. And this part eventually like the swarm attack, and then it gets into like explaining like Kate's headaches, like eventually like the whole hive mind thing. She's like controlling the swarm and stuff, and it ends and it's kind of like a beast mode within the campaign, kind of cool. But then yeah, like you end up killing Oscar. So it's like Oscar was like the big cliffhanger ending that Oscar's alive. He just dies right away in Gears of War 5. Uh, which was that whatever, and then like that whole sequence, Kate's like, I need to go figure this out. These headaches, this hive mind thing. I need to put an end to it. And Marcus is like, well, I have an idea of where we can check next. Go see Niles in Mount Kadar, which was like another kind of cool string to threat, a cool threat to pull on. I'll admit, like going to see Niles from like Gears of War 2, that was kind of something that was like really quick and like a small part of Gears 2. It's cool to kind of expand on that part. I'll give it to them. That's a cool thread to pull on. But yeah, in the Mount Kadar in Gears of War 2, you drive through it with the Centaur tank, and it's really action and you fight all the locusts and stuff. And now it's like, here's the open world area. You have this like skid or whatever, this like sled skid where the wind's always magically blowing in the correct direction. And I'm just like, why didn't they just like grab like something? And they explain it too, like in the little banter. They're like, oh, we didn't grab like fuel would be a like a disaster to try to always have to keep like an actual vehicle fueled, so we're using like the skid or whatever. And it's just dumb excuse to make an open world. And yeah, the open world section here in Act 2, this is where it becomes a slog fest. Act 2 and 3, uh, it's just so shoehorned in. Like, first off, it's so bland. Like, I think Gears of War 4 came out 2016 and Gears of War 5 came out in 2019. So 3 to 4 year development cycle. And they're like, they must have been tasked to do an open world. And there's no way that anybody play tested Gears of War 5 and thought like this game was fun. Like, the coalition has to be filled with yes men who just said yes to everything. Yes, this is cool and good. Because I totally get the vibe that the reason, the art direction for Act 2 and 3 are the way they are and are so unremarkable for an open world. Like, there's no detail in it. And like the whole point of open world is like for interesting exploration, but there's no detail in here. And I think it's because of that short dev cycle, and they just covered everything in snow in Act 2. In Act 3, they just cover everything in sand. And it's just like, Act 2 is just all white and blue. Act 3 is all red and brown. It's just so It's just so remarkable how uninteresting Act 2 and 3 are, like, especially as open world. And it's like, it just feels like anime filler the entire time, where it's like, Gears of War is usually just like, combat scenario, move on to the next combat scenario, move to the next combat scenario. And when you finish like a section of the game, it like transports you to the next like portion of the game where it's like, there's like that's where you transition the acts and stuff. It's like, all right, well, we're gonna auto like skip to the story to the next part where there's action. It's like Act 2 and 3. It's like you finish like a chapter. It's like, okay, now you have to walk back to the skin, and then you have to like go to the next area. It's like, what if they just had to like walk everywhere instead of like skipping and keeping things flowing? Like you just have to walk everywhere and everything. And yeah, and the side quests are big nothing burgers. You have some like downed like planes that you go to, which are just excuses to fight the robots again. The side quests, like, yeah, you just get like special jack upgrades that you can only get in the side quests. I did all the side quests. There's really not that many. And they're pretty easy to find too. So yeah, the world's just filled with nothing. You find your first relic weapon, which was like kind of cool. I think the first one was like a sniper that's like had like double shots, but like these relic weapons are not worth hunting out at all. Um, like with the sniper, for example, like I never felt like any of the power weapons gave enough ammo throughout the game, and that you could. I always had like a lancer, and then I usually would want like a retro lancer for like when like the enemies get up close. Anything besides those two never felt like it had enough ammo. Maybe the marks of DMR, I would pick that up too. But anytime I picked up a power weapon, I like quickly didn't have enough ammo, and then I run out of ammo with the lancer too quickly. Yeah, and which is just a shame because I thought this was the best the long shot felt since Gears of War 2. It felt really good, but never had enough ammo. So like any of these relic weapons, just like eventually I got rid of it because of like just never was given enough ammo throughout the game to still use it. But yeah, then like so that's like all the open world stuff in Act 2, but like the story still sucked. So you go see Niles, which is cool, and like this is like the most annoying part, I feel like, because you get there to New Hope, and yeah, this is one of the worst lines of dialogue in the game. I felt like you get there and you're like, yeah, like Kate's like to Marcus because Marcus is on the comms, like, and I do not like. It feels so out of character for Marcus that he's gonna be sitting there the whole time, like with his finger up his ass, just talking on the comms. Like I cannot imagine this with Marcus. Like if Marcus has the time to sit there like at a desk on comms talking to Kate and Dell the entire time, wouldn't he have rather been out there on the field with them? We know in Act 3 that this kid can fit 4 people. So why didn't Marcus just go and have Baird be the one on the comms? I can't imagine Marcus sitting there just eating chips at the desk. And then, you get this scene where like they get to the door that Marcus and Dom blew up with like this like explosive device that Baird made in Gears of War 2. And like they get there, Mark's like, did you guys get there? And Kate's like, yeah, but there's like a giant hole like in like where the door is supposed to be. And Marcus is like, oh yeah, that was me. I forgot about that. And it's like, this is just the coalition writing like, that's a reference right there. Like that's from Gears of War 2. Like as if we just need another. I can't imagine Marcus forgetting about that moment because like Gears of War 2, like obviously the games are like big like moments of the Gears of War like lore. And Marcus lost Dom, and you'd think that he like in the 20 years or 25 years since like the original trilogy, like Marcus would be like replaying these memories in his mind, I would imagine, of the times he had with Dom. Like I do not imagine that he forgot about this moment. And even if he did forget about this moment and he just remembered in that, I don't feel like Marcus's character would be like, oh yeah, that was me. Like I don't imagine him saying that. Like it felt very out of character, and it really felt like the writers for the coalition is trying to tell the audience like, that's a reference. That's a reference when they blew up the door. But yeah, like this part was kind of cool seeing Niles, but then like the whole because like the whole Sire mystery like still from like Gears of War 2 never really got resolved. So this was a cool thread to pull on. But then you get there, Niles is like, but the real Niles is in another castle. There's another lab to go to. So yeah, then you go. And then Dell's like, oh, we have to go to these radio towers to try to like triangulate the real lab. And so you go to like the first tower, and eventually you find like this like scanner thing, which is I feel like is more just to be like, oh, find all the side quests. And so like once I found them, I'm like, oh well, now I have to do the side quests. But like I like Gears enough to like I want to see all the lore that they throw at it. But again, nothing in the side quests is remarkable at all. And so you do that, and then you go all the way to another tower, and you do it again, and then you finally triangulate on on the lab, and you get there and it's like, oh, it's under ice. And so what do you have to do now in the main game? A fetch quest to go find some oil to make a device, like an explosive device that's gonna drill down there. And it's just, once I got there, like, oh, we have to go like back and find like another, like, and do like a fetch quest. I was like, come on, like, just did all this. It's just like so unremarkable. Like, it's just, it all feels like filler. The main game, the side quest, the entire act two just feels like filler. And then you get to the real lab, and then you meet like the better, more real Niles, and yeah, you learn what we already knew at the end of Gears of War 4, that like Kate's the granddaughter of the Queen. We already knew this. This was implied already at the end of Gears of War 4. And that like you learn that Reyna's like the new queen, and yeah, then you meet like the matriarch, which is like this basically a berserker, and apparently that's responsible for the whole like hive mind and all of that, and why like Kate is like locked in the hive mind. So you have to destroy that. You learn that like that the locusts were, you know, man made. It started out with trying to like heal like the I don't know, the emulsion poisoning or whatever that people have been getting, but then they ended up making like the locusts, and then they're like, oh, the locusts are built to like always survive and stuff, and like that's why it's like they came back, because they were built that way to like to never go extinct. Then yeah, you fight the matriarch, which this was just an, I don't know, an annoying boss fight. It was definitely a big bullet sponge, and you had to use the ice to drop it. Like, thankfully, I had the ability with Jack to like, you know, freeze them with flash. But it still took like forever, and it was all janky. Sometimes I was up too close, and then the ice, I would fall in the ice and it would kill me, and just the whole thing felt jank. And I don't know. It took me a few tries to beat it, but that's what was annoying, because when I beat it and I went on to Act 3, uh, I like I quit the game. I'm like, all right, like I beat the game. And this was like one of my 45-minute sessions of playing. I definitely played too long because the cutscene after was like long. And then after, like, I was like, okay, I gotta log off. And I quit. And I was just sitting there. I'm like, something felt wrong with that. Something felt wrong. I feel like I didn't see a checkpoint. But this is the beginning of Act 3, Chapter 1. Like, surely there's a checkpoint there. And I logged back in just to check, and it didn't save. And so I'm just like, oh my god, I have to beat it. Like, it didn't save. Like, how is the checkpoint system broken at the beginning of an act and chapter? How is that checkpoint broken? Like, I couldn't believe it. So then, you know, I fight it again. I destroy it because I memorized its patterns and stuff. And I skipped the cutscene because it's a long cutscene and I already seen it. And I skipped the cutscene, and then the checkpoint. I see like the checkpoint save, and like I just like I did not understand. And like actually on Reddit, I saw like a thread with someone who's saying that like they were in the same situation, like literally the same thing happened to them, except they played for like 2 or 3 hours after that and lost all of that save. So I don't know, something with like watching that cutscene like broke the checkpoint. Like I don't know. Yeah, it was remarkable. But yeah, so like they like find out that's like that Reyna's like the new queen, and they're like, now we really have to kill the swarm. Like, it's been 4 months since like that Hammer of Dawn incident where they were trying to destroy the swarm, and now they're like find out that like Reyna's the new queen and stuff, and they're like, well, now we really gotta kill it. And so then Baird's like, okay, well, if that, well, now I guess like we can reach out to my friend Paddock, because I think like they have some Hammer of Dawn satellites too over there. Again, what's cool, it's good to see Paddock again from like Gears Judgment. Love that he made it into like a mainline game. You know, even though he was kind of there in Aftermath, but still like that's on the Judgment disc. So cool to see Paddock in a mainline game. Finally, we have like a fresh location for the first time in Gears of War 5, a brand new location that's not a reference to anything else, but it's just a sand desert. So just like Act 2, it's like, here's a new location, cover it in sand. And like there's like a point in dialogue, like Foz and JD join you, and like they're talking about the sand, and Foz like, I'm so glad, like, because like, you know, you're in Vazgard or whatever, and Foz is Vazguardian, but he's like, I'm so glad my parents like, migrated out of here and moved, so I didn't have to grow up in this desert. And Kate's like, well, back then, this wasn't like a desert. It's like, oh, how convenient. Like when we go there, it's just all desert and boring and bland. And yeah, I guess the skid can go across it, but like it makes for just an unremarkable, everything samey open world. In both Act 2 and 3, like the open world is just like basically a giant line. It's remarkable how bland like both these acts are. And this act is also just filled with filler. Uh, Again, like Act Two is just Kate and Dell. Now you have four people. JD and Foz come. They're like, we want to just help. We just want to help, and that's cool. I guess maybe they're trying to make amends, but again, it's like 4 months later. They're just like, yeah, we want to help. And instead of Marcus on the comms, Paddock's on the comms talking to you the whole time. And I feel like it's more believable for Paddock to be on the comms than it is for Marcus. Like Marcus felt way out of character. At least for Paddock, it feels in character. So that was cool. But side quest wise, everything's just as bland as Act 2. And then even the story in Act 3 is like even worse. It's just all fetch quests. So the whole point of this is to like get the Hammer of Dawn like satellites into space. And so you go to where the rocket hangar is, and like the rocket booster is gone. And you find like the head of the rocket, and you have to spend like the first part of this just putting the satellites and assembling the rocket head. And this rocket hangar sucks. It's so big. Like any like combat design philosophy is completely thrown out the window because it's so big, and you're so incentivized to go explore all the, you know, each nook and cranny of this thing looking for components. I never found components. I just found some power weapons. Like I barely found components in this part. It's just so big that like a combat like scenario can happen. You can just like run back really far away, start basically sniping the guys. It's just it's dumb. And then you assemble the rocket, and then you're like, okay, well the booster wasn't there, so you have to go find the booster, and you find the booster, you have to turn it around so that way it can then take like the train to go to the rocket hangar. You do that, and you have to kind of, oh, here's like a little part that just feels super unnatural. You have to race there to like raise the bridge so that way it doesn't crash, or lower the bridge, I guess. Yeah, you do that, and then after that, Paddock's like, I didn't want to tell you till you actually got the rocket assembled, but we also need like the coordinates or data to then actually be able to like accurately like fire the satellite. And so then you have to go do another fetch quest to do that, and it's just again, and then at one point you just have to like go back to like to the base to give it to Barrett so he can fly away, and then get attacked there, and then you have to go back and fire the rocket. And it's just, that's all it is. It's just fetch quest after fetch quest after fetch quest, except these aren't side quests. This is main quest. So not much to talk about on there. Just like, but then again, open world Act 2 and 3, you just aren't just driving around and listening to these like banters of these characters just saying just some dumb stuff, I guess. And then we have Act 4. The last act, the only mainline Gears of War game with 4 acts instead of 5. And we spent most of this game just in filler arcs. There's been like nothing so far. So you get to I guess in Act 3, yeah, you fight this like Leviathan monster where like you shoot the tongues, and it's just such a boring boss fight. Like the matriarch was like annoyingly hard, and then like just the not like annoyingly hard, wasn't like that hard. It was just like annoying. But then this one was just like stupid, where you're just shooting the tongues. I don't know, super unremarkable. This whole game's unremarkable. And so yeah, so Act 4. It's only 2 chapters long. So not only is this game 4 acts instead of 5, Act 4 is only like 2 chapters long. So you get the Hammer Dawn online, and it starts out kind of strong. It kind of starts feeling like Gears of War again. Now that we're out of those open world sections, it starts feeling like Gears of War again. I'm like, oh yeah. You got the Hammer Dawn online, so again, they kind of just throw like big bads, a bunch of these sub boss fights at you that are like super bullet sponges, but you can kill them really fast with the Hammer of Dawn now. But all in all, it's pretty fun. It feels like Gears of War, and you keep going, and it still feels like Gears of War. And you're setting up like the Hammer of Dawn beacons, and then you can use the Hammer of Dawn, and yeah, you get to like some of like the final like combat scenarios of the game, like on foot. Then you get to the choice. The choice. Now you hate that it's called the choice. One of the worst dialogues in the game. When you save one of Del or JD, Reyna's like, "You made your choice." Like, what does that even mean? You made your choice. Was she gonna hold the two characters up there and just like wait? Like, which one are you gonna save? Like, was she not intending to kill both of them? And then like, so she grabs both of them. Kate grabs a knife and saves one of them. I hate that it's a choice that she's making it should be more of just a reactionary thing and making a choice. And this is just the worst thing in any IP that you could do is take two main characters and say one of them is going to die. If this was after you beat the campaign and then you can replay the campaign and made a choice to see an alternate ending, that would have been cool. That would have been fine. They should have, the first time around, made this a cutscene, not a user choice. And if you beat the game, having the ability to replay the game and then have the choice to have an alternate ending, that would have been cool. But one of those characters is JD, who is the son of Marcus Phoenix, the main character of the entire franchise. Whether he lives or dies is going to completely change the mindset and state of mind and emotional well-being of Marcus Phoenix, who's still alive and is going to be alive in Gears of War 6. This is such a big deal that how do you do that without making like two separate games of Gears of War 6? Because you cannot just like make his emotional well-being such that like it can kind of fit the bill for both of them. I think the only way you can really do this is they have to choose which one actually survived. And it's probably going to be JD. And when I first played Gears 5, I picked JD to survive because he's Marcus Phoenix's son, because of his emotional well-being state. And I feel like because he's a Phoenix, he has too much plot armor. Right? He has too much plot armor. But like at the same time, I know like Kate like kind of like forgave JD at the end there because after he came back and they're like, you know, they're kind of on good grounds. But for 4 months, she basically hated JD. And at the end of Gears of War 4, they hugged, and it seemed like that they kind of liked each other. There was a little bit of romance going on there. Maybe I need to read novels to kind of see more about the story about JD and Kate and like how close they are, like before Gears of War 4. But like I didn't feel like that like they had like such a deep like love, like that Kate had such like a deep love for JD, especially because of those 4 months and like how good Dell was to Kate for those 4 months. So in order to save JD, Kate has to be like deeply in love with JD to be able to, after she forgave him just recently, like to save him over Dell, because Dell was so good to Kate. So it's like her love for JD has to run so deep for her to be like such a bitch to Dell, just to like not save Dell, because Dell was so good to Kate, right? And so this time, I like, because I saved JD the first time I played it, I already had it in my mind, I'm gonna save Dell. I'm gonna save Dell because I already experienced that ending one time. I'm gonna experience Dell, and at the same time, it's like Dell was so good to Kate, and Kate just spent 4+ months hating JD. Like, yeah, they forgave each other, but like, how could she do that to Dell? How could she do that to Dell? But Dell's such an unremarkable character. So you have JD who has this plot armor because he's the son of Marcus Phoenix. But Dell at the same time is so unremarkable. He's just like, he's kind of like, almost like, I don't know, almost like Jace at the time, except like, if they didn't even mention Jace early in the game, they could have just wrote him out. So like, Dell dying, you can like write him out. Like, he didn't do anything in the game. He's less remarkable than Dom. Like, Dom kind of, like in Gears of War 1, Dom felt like kind of like pretty unremarkable. It wasn't until Gears of War 2 that they really characterized Dom. But Dell had 2 full games, and he's still like the least important character compared to JD and Kate. And that's why he probably dies, because he's like pretty unimportant. He hasn't done anything. So I guess like his story just ends there and dies. And I guess like the way I think JD is the one who's going to be picked to survive because of the plot armor, because he's Marcus's son. And the only way I can see them doing this is make it that JD's canon, and then like either make a comic book like series, like, you know, a 6-issue comic book series or something, or a novel that's like the alternate timeline of JD, of like what happens if you save Dell and not JD. And in Gear 6, JD needs to do something so remarkable. He needs to do something so significant that it makes it such that the only way the world survives is it's JD was survived. So that way this comic series or novel where Dell survives has a sad ending where the world ends. And that's the only way they can do it, because it cannot continue in, like, if they keep making lore farther than Gears of War 6, you cannot maintain branched timelines like this indefinitely. That'd just be so messy. One of these timelines needs to end, and it needs to end fast. And so if the only way you can recover from this, from a writing standpoint, is if JD survives, and that's where you go with Gears of War 6. And to give closure on the Dell timeline, if Dell survives, there has to be a comic or novel, which Microsoft does this all the time, where you need to read the novel to make sense. I think even Gears of War 5, I think there's a novel that goes into that 4 month time span of like that 4 month time gap. There's like a whole novel in there. I'm pretty sure. I need to read it, but and maybe that'll make some more sense of all this. But yeah, I think as much as I feel like honestly JD kind of deserves to live. How good he was to Kate. Like if she's making a conscious, and I don't even think that she should. This whole choice should have been a conscious decision. It would have been nice if she had two knives. And like again, I was saying like that there should have been like a decision. I think she should have had two knives and try to save both of them reactionarily. And like she hits and saves JD and like misses Dell, and that's why he dies. That I think would have been like cooler. If you had to kill off one of the characters, but there never should have been a choice to the users to do that. And I feel like the only way they can recover that is take, yeah, make JD the canon. It's probably just the cleanest because again, Marcus's well being. Like he already lost Anya, he lost Dom. To lose JD too, like is and Dell is so unremarkable. It's like, is he going to be the main character of Gears of War 6? And like 4, 5, and 6, each of these three characters get like their spot in their time in the spotlight. Like maybe, but yeah, for the other timeline, I don't think they can make Gear 6 where you have two full games. It's going to be messy. And like the dialogue and scenes to address both of them, it's just going to be messy. It's going to be too hard to maintain, especially if they want to do more novels and comics in the future at this part of the timeline. Yeah, I think they have to do a comic series or a novel, and it ends where it's like the only way that like the world could survive is if JD survived. So yeah, that part is super messy, and I can't believe that any IP would do such a thing with such an important character. Like I don't know what they were thinking. What they were thinking in the writing room. It's just I don't know if they're trying to be edgy or try to get like traction on social media or just people talking about it, but it's horrible. Horrible writing. And then you get the final boss fight, which is kind of like the same as the final boss fight in Act 3, where you're just shooting the tongues of this Leviathan again. The final boss fight's horribly unremarkable. Like, the Matriarch in Act 2 was the best boss fight in the game. Even though I didn't, like, love it and thought it was janky and kind of bullet spongy. But the whole shooting the tongues thing is so annoying. Shoot the tongues! And then, yeah, you shoot the railguns, hit them twice, the railguns get destroyed. And then okay, it's like use the Hammer of Dawn. There's like, oh, there's no beacon, and then it's like, and then Jack becomes like autonomous and it's like makes his own decision apparently to like become a beacon and fire off the Hammer of Dawn without Baird's orders. And then Baird's like, Jack, what are you doing? Don't do it, Jack. And then like the music plays that's like almost like the same kind of vibe when like Dom kills himself, and then Baird's like, Jack, why did you do that? And it's like you're supposed to feel. It's just a robot, dude. Like it's just a robot, and they're trying to make this scene seem like kind of like reenact Dom's scene when he died, and except it's a robot. And also, JD or Dell just died like a little bit ago, and they're making the scene that Jack died to seem more sad, and it's just it's such a dumb ending. And they're like, oh yeah, like we'll get him next time. And Kate's like, not if we bring the fight to Reina. And Marcus is like, okay, it's like I've been down this path before, like let's do it. So I forgot to mention all the sameness stuff. Like even in as much as I liked Act 4 up until the choice, they're still piggybacking off of like old Gears lore. Like you're in like Old Afira. I think New Afira is like next to Old Afira, if I understand the lore correctly. If you know more about the lore, you can correct me down below. But the whole like swarm nest, like their nexus, their hive where Reina is in like Old Afira, and like they go there and you can see the ruins and everything of like Gears of War 1. Like you can see like the House of Sovereign and like the Tomb of the Unknown. And so again, like the set and vibe in like Act 4, they're still piggybacking off of Gears 1. So this entire game is piggybacking off of sets of settings of like the original trilogy, and even Gears of War 4 with like a cog settlement. And so like nothing in this game is like it feels original in terms of like the set pieces, except for Vazgard, which is just covered in sand. It's just super boring. It's like, oh, okay, well that's the original stuff. Like even though it's still pulling from a thread of like of Paddock from Gears of War Judgment. So yeah, it's just this game is just ridiculous. And on top of all of this, As much as I don't really like Gears of War 4, it's mid, and Gears of War 5 I think is just bad. I don't like cliffhanger endings that are not unresolved. And this game came out in 2019. It's 2026 now. It's been almost 7 full years since this game came out. And we know Gears of War E-Day is what's up next. Like, they must know that this game was so bad, and like they've just backed off a little bit, try to let people forget. They come back with E-Day and try to get people hyped of like, this is the direction they're going Gears of War. I don't know if they don't know how to finish this story from the writing direction, especially because of the choice, and they know that 4 and 5 is not popular. But like, there's not, even though it's bad, I want it concluded. I don't want this cliffhanger ending to one of my favorite like franchises and IP. Like, if the sequel trilogy is going to be bad, I want it to be completed. I don't want them to finish it off with a novel. I want Gears of War 6. I'd rather have E-Day. I'm glad they're doing that, even though the coalition with Gears of War 4 and 5 and Gears of War Ultimate / Reloaded, they've never once proven they understood what makes a good Gears of War game. And so after playing like these games, especially 5, and that they're saying E-Day is gonna be the most ambitious game that they've ever made, like, I'm scared for E-Day. Absolutely. I gotta expand on this in a separate video at this point. But like, there's nothing I dislike more than an incomplete like trilogy, and like or just like even like story threads like with that cliffhanger ending or just of Gears of War 5. I want to see it resolved, and it just sucks that it's like, I don't see that they're gonna make a good, like, Gears of War 6 is probably gonna be a bad story also. And so, like, I don't know, I guess they're gonna try E-Day and get hype back into the series, but like at some point they're gonna have to bite the bullet and finish off Gears 6. And like, I don't know, if E-Day doesn't do good, they're probably never gonna go back to this. I don't want to see it just like unconcluded, and I don't want to see it unconcluded via like a book or a comic book or something like that. It should give a proper game. It should be a proper Gears 6, and then just be done with it and just make other games or series like in the past, because there's so much like history of like Gears of War 1 starts 14 years after E-Day, and even then there's established that there was war before E-Day with the COG versus the UIR. There's so much lore to explore, yet they did the sequel series and it's unconcluded, and I just like really want to see like it concluded. Just let's just finish it. Just give us a small game or something. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy. Maybe don't even do multiplayer, but like, I definitely like Gears of War for the campaign. But I know they won't do like something with no multiplayer. It's got to be like the biggest and best multiplayer for Gears 6, because that's what Gears 6 is going to be mostly. Is going to, like, the only way it could be a good game is if it's a good multiplayer in horde mode and all that. But yeah, never do open world in Gears again, because this entire game was a majority filler with Act 2 and 3. Those acts are terrible. Act 1 has a lot of issues with it. And then Act 4 is short. It's very short, and issues, like, geez, the choice. Horror, one of the worst writings in like any video game or any story ever. I don't know why you would do that, or who thought this was a good idea. But yeah, Gears of War 5 was bad. I haven't played Hivebusters yet. I'm going to. So next up is going to be Hivebusters. I'm going to jump. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to play Hivebusters. I'm going to come back and finish this video. But at least for now, hopefully Hivebusters may think that this package is. So let's see what happens. I'm going to come back to this video and finish this off and add in the Hivebusters. So let's see what happens. All right. I thought Hivebusters was great. Okay, I do. I think it's actually the best work the Coalition has ever put out. But that's not how this story begins of me playing Hivebusters. No, this is actually the second time I played Hivebusters. I didn't play it right when it came out. I think it launched in 2020, December. I definitely played at the beginning of 2022 because it was like the first game I played when I got this TV. Finished the basement, got this TV. So that was 2022 when I played it. So I played it before. I don't really remember it. There's not like, I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention at the time, and I don't have the context I do now, marathoning all the games. So the moral of the story is I played the game before, no issue, right? Okay, so I start playing this game, sit down for the first night for like about 30 minutes, start some Hivebusters, and the opening's good. I mean, the opening scene, The first level, the first chapter really reminds me of like the opening of Halo 3. You got this like jungle setting on an island. You crash land on an island, and you take the roles of Keegan, Lonnie, and Mac. And these are all original characters, and they're all really cool characters, honestly. Keegan was Onyx guard, except he never really served in the Onyx. Like he was just like a guard on Azura, so he didn't like do anything. Mac, he's actually civilian. He's not Cog, but his son or his child got killed by the swarm, so now he just enlisted on this mission to basically just try to go out with a bang. And then Lonnie's actually one of the most interesting characters, in my opinion. Later on, you learn that she was part of some brigade, some special like division in the Cog that after the events of Gears 3, when all the locusts died, apparently like it didn't have a 100% effect rate, so there's still some straggling locusts out there, and she was part of the secret cleanup crew. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, you'd think like, yeah, maybe young locusts don't have as much emulsion in their blood, or that caused them to like get affected by whatever that like those like waves were, or whatever that took down like Adam Phoenix got like disintegrated, but not like Marcus and Baird and Cole, who like probably also had a little bit of emulsion inside of them as well. So I thought that was really cool, and like especially for lore building. Since Gears 4 takes place 25 years after Gears of War 3, that's 25 years now of like potential story that they can go and revisit and like have like these special missions, and I thought that was really cool. Very cool. But yeah, you're on this island, and there's some temples and stuff, and like Lonnie, she's like she recognizes like the temples and the architecture from like from photos from her grandparents. So this island, they don't know anything about the mission, but this island is part of her heritage. And so that's pretty cool. And so, yeah, you crash down on this island, and you go looking for the crash down plane, the Condor, and to find the radio so you can like reach out for help and get picked up and leave. And so this brings you down to like this like kind of this like beach level, and so there's a pretty good combat scenario there. And I got halfway through it. My 30 minutes ended. I had to go upstairs, do real life responsibilities, so turn the game off, whatever, and I leave. The next day I have like 20 minutes to go play, and Gears Hivebusters is just like kind of a mini campaign, so I was like 20 minutes that could be significant. So I went down to play, and it starts from the beginning. My save like didn't save, and I was like, okay, this sucks. But I had that save issue earlier on in Gears 5, at the end of Act 2, beginning of Chapter 3, so I'm like, okay, like another save issue. Okay, whatever. And I was like, I should really test this to see, like, try to make sure that the checkpoint works at the beginning. But I was like, I only have 20 minutes. I don't really want to waste time troubleshooting and all of that. So I just sped run through the level. Now that I'm like not paying attention to like the story anymore and like absorbing and soaking all in, I'm just bum rushing it like to where I was at. And like it was because I played 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. Me bum rushing through it saved 10 minutes. I got to the exact same spot. It was time to log off, so I did. And this time I'm like, I should just check. And I go and reload the save, and I go into, instead of continue, there's like new and load. I went to load. I'm like, okay, there's my save. There's time. It says I've played for like 16 minutes. I'm like, cool. And I click it to make sure it works, and it starts over. I don't know what it is about this game. If I'm the only person in the world who's played Hivebusters for a second time, if I just have to like completely uninstall and reinstall the game. I did uninstall and reinstall the DLC, but not the full game. I don't know if my save is corrupted. It's 2026. We've been saving games since 1990. Like my Hivebusters is not saving. I don't know why. Like this definitely put me into a salty mood. I'm like, are you kidding? Like this makes, I don't understand. How did they not? What is wrong with it? Is it the Xbox? This has brought me back to flashbacks of the Xbox One. Like I haven't had this happen since the launch of the Xbox One. I have a video on the channel describing that. I'll post a link to the card at the end of this video that goes over that. It's my best performing video that never got pushed by YouTube in terms of like average watch duration. But I've not had this happen. Like I don't understand how like the saving is like broken. So I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This sucks. And then I thought about deleting the game and redoing it, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just utilize quick resume. I haven't used quick resume since launch because it was like a little flaky back then, but maybe it's working now. It's a short campaign. As long as I finish chapters, worst comes to worst, since I beat the game, I can continue from a chapter I've already finished if I need to. I don't know. Maybe it's just old school of me. I like when I finish playing, I kill the app and turn my Xbox off, but I utilized quick resume, and that worked throughout this game. So it's like it sucks because like the rest of this is going to be positive, but uh, it's making me worried for E-Day. If E-Day's a great game, but like, is the saving gonna work? Like, this is such like a basic thing with Gears 5 and Hive Busters. I'm having issues with saving, and it's like, yeah, quick resume like worked, but what if I wanted to play multiplayer? Like when E-Day comes out, I want to hop around between campaign and multiplayer. Like, am I just gonna lose it all? It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. The one time the Coalition makes a good Gears game, because Hive Busters is the best Gears of War that the Coalition has made, even including the Gears of War 1 remake, how they just like they don't understand the art style and the vibe of that game. Even with that, like, just can't even copy someone's homework properly. But Hive Busters was great in terms of creativity, and just like, I don't know, they give them the opportunity to make an original Gears of War game with original environments and all that. None of this open world nonsense, and it's great. So basically covered all of chapter 1. After, like, finally get it working and you finish that beach level and you get extracted, you go back, because I don't know how they started the secret mission, but they don't know anything about it really. And so they get back to like base, and you see Colonel Hoffman, and it's great. It's like, oh, Colonel Hoffman wasn't in Gears 4 or 5, was he? This good to see him. Like, I can't believe he's alive 25 years later. It was great. And then they introduced another new character, Hannah Cole. And this was another great thing that they did. I'm like, this is awesome. And and it's funny because at this time, I really appreciated that they didn't over-explain Hannah Cole. She's just Hannah Cole. And it just like, as a fan, I'm like, is that Cole's daughter? That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's just like, I'm like, if this is Netflix, they would just over-explain it and be like, do something kind of like Hannah Cole, like, are like the Coltrane's daughter, but they didn't do that. And I was like, I love this, and then later on in chapter 4, she joins you boots on the ground for a mission, and then they do it. Then Keegan's like, Hannah, I've been meaning to ask you, are you related to Augustus Cole? And I'm just like, God, the one thing I liked about the way this rolled out, you just ruined it. Like, why'd you do that? Just stupid. Oh man. But yeah, so you learn about this mission that Hoffman wants them to go on, going to this the Sanctum place. And it's basically like a Fallout vault, where it's kind of like an end of the world structure where they're taking important people like celebrities and scientists and just probably billionaires and whatever, and like try to, an end of the world bunker, again, like a Fallout vault. And this was a cool scenario. And they say it was never used because like the war actually ended before they actually got to use it. So they just use it as a locust burial site, dumped all the bodies in. And now, of course, it's a giant hive. And so Hannah's been working on some like gas to try to, like, if, the mission is go to the heart of the hive and release the gas, and then it'll go and kill all the locusts. So that's the mission. And Keegan, being ex-Onyx Guard, knowing who Hoffman is, he's just like, whatever you say, like, we're doing it. Like, you're Hoffman, you want us to do this, we're doing it. And Mac doesn't understand because he's not COG. And so, yeah, again, chapter 2, you're in this the Sanctum, and a very cool scenario. I played this game before, so I'm pretty sure this is an area that probably had a collectible, but I found this little area that was basically like, someone's like room, like who lived there. And I thought that was really, really great lore building, and world building. It was really cool to see that. Again, the Coalition doing something original, and they pulled this one off. It was great. Good combat scenarios here. It was a great environment. But then at the end of this, it's like, Mac's getting frustrated because you're supposed to go 20 levels down. You're on like floor 18, so you're only 3 levels down. You have a ways to go. He's getting frustrated, and he doesn't think it's going to work anyway. He thinks they're just going to die. And so he like rips the gas off of Keegan and throws it down like this like shaft, and then it goes off. And like something like that, I'm just like, I like don't understand how like Keegan and Lonnie's reaction wasn't to just like gun down Mac for being like just committing treason. Like I'm just like, how are they allowing this to happen? Especially in a series that has like a game like Gears of War Judgment, where like you defy orders, like you're going on trial and stuff like that. Like they just allowed Mac to do, and then like they forgave him for doing that. Like that was the ultimate act of treason and betrayal. Like I don't know, how did they not like just like arrest him or like just even like gun him down on sight? That was like, I don't know, it took me out of it a little bit. And like the whole reason is like then he's like, it didn't even work anyway. So like what good thing we didn't go all the way down there. It didn't even kill the locust anyway. Like that gas wasn't like strong enough or didn't work or whatever. Like for the and it wasn't gonna kill all the locusts because it wasn't at the heart of it, but like the ones that it did affect, it didn't kill them anyway. So whatever. I told you so. But as they're escaping the sanctum, chapter 3, you like a door, the door to like the vault or the sanctum falls, and you get on it and you're on this like lava river on the door, and it's great. This is a great, it was awesome set piece, great set piece. Like applaud to the coalition for that great set piece, chapter 3. uh but that's really all. It's short and sweet, but it was great. um Chapter 4, you go back, you're back at with Hoffman and Hannah, and they're talking about this. And I don't know how like Hoffman's like not going off of him as treason. Like everyone just like forgave him all of a sudden. But then they're talking about at the end of chapter 1, which I forgot to mention earlier, when they're getting extracted. The locusts that are there because they didn't kill all the locusts. They get rained down by like acid, and it just starts like killing them and melting them. And they're like, well, that killed them. Why didn't our gas do it? And so they're like, I don't know. Lonnie's like, these are my people. Maybe we should go there and check it out. And then like Hannah's like, I'll come with you and make sure I'm asking the right questions. So then you go down to this village. And again, this is also like another great like set piece, like great environment. This island village, very cool. And they're wondering like, how did the swarm get here to this like island? Um, and like, yeah, later you find out that they're going underground, like through underground from the mainland. Well, actually, from coincidentally the sanctum, to get to that island. But again, this whole village and everything, very cool. Like for just the world building, because all we really know is like the Cog territory, and then like they talk about the UIR territory. But like Sarah's this whole planet, so just to get this other like island and know that there's more places out there. This entire game was really cool for the world building. And yeah, this village was awesome. And then you're going through and you're learning about this like bird that I don't know if they like worship it or if they like or if they fear it, but like there's all these like writings on the wall and stories about this bird. Find out it's called the wakatu, which is really funny because read a lot of Bluey to my kids and they'd say wakadu all the time, so it's wakadu, wakatu. But there's this bird. And it's not even swarm or locust. It's just like this bird on like Saren, like this kind of like legendary bird like monster thing. And again, awesome. Like this is cool right now, what they're doing. And yeah, so like towards like the end of that, you try to rescue villagers, but they're all dead. And then you're gonna get extracted, but then Hannah gets taken by a snatcher, and so then you chase down the snatcher in the next chapter to try to save Hannah Cole. And what you do, and then Max like spitballing, and he's just like, Hannah was gonna, they were gonna take Hannah all the way down to the heart of the hive, right? So like, what if we just like let them take us and do that? And I actually really like that about Mac. That really saved Mac's character for me personally, because I thought like the whole time like Hannah's the smart engineer. Once she got taken by the swarm, she's gonna be the one to figure out like we should do this. So I wasn't expecting it to be like dumbass Mac being the one to like come up with the idea. And so that was awesome in terms of like just all their characterizations. Yeah, the Scorpio Squad was a lot of fun, to play as and experience their story and watch them like evolve. So that was cool for Mac. And again, so then like you get extracted from the island again, and he comes up with the idea, and they're like, okay, so maybe we can take the poison from the Wakatu and combined it with the acid, and then use that to defeat the swarm. So then the next mission, you go back and then you go find the bird, fight it. You don't kill it, but you do get a sample of that, so that way they can use it to mix it with the gas, and then Obviously like Mac had the idea, so then Hannah Cole comes up with the stuff. Like if this whole campaign is to explain in universe the escape game mode, which was one of my big like critiques about Gears of War 4 with the what was it, the fortifier or the fortification, the fabricator. How like they introduced the fabricator for horde mode, but it's like, come on, we don't need this to be canon or like an explanation of how this is used in universe. But the way they did it with escape and hive busters, it was great. Like I mean, maybe that like drove the creativity to like, how do you come up with a story to explain like escape and how they're doing this hunter again, like how they survive being the snatchers and all that, and the entire mode. Maybe like just those like criteria of like uh working in that box help drive that the creativity of this, and they executed it very well. And it sucks that Hivebusters is a DLC for Gears 5. Like I don't know, it's like tainted that it's that, because like if this was a standalone game and it was like twice as long of a campaign, was like it's like 2.5 to 3 hours long. If it was like 5 to 6 hours long, if it was like a full campaign, honestly, this could maybe rank above Gears of War 3. Like, this could be like, I would probably go Gears 2, 1, maybe Hivebusters. Like honestly, it was very creative. It was very fun. It was good. It was good for the world building. I liked it and enjoyed it a lot. It was great. But it's not. And I don't think it's like fair to say like this DLC is like saving Gears 5. And like, oh, Gears 5 is better than Gears 4 because of Hivebusters. Like I don't think like a DLC like mini campaign should be like allowed to carry uh I'm not going to forget the flaws of Gears 5 and like just how bad that game is. But moving on to Gears 6, like I really want to see the Scorpio Squad characters like make an appearance. Like that could be like your Marvel movie, like the part where the audience like applauds and all that. Like I want to see them come in. That would be awesome. That'd be great. Yeah, and just like even E-Day, I still want to see Gear 6, right? Like I hate an unfinished story, right? Even if 4 and 5 are bad, I don't want to just see it like loose end unfinished. I don't want them to do a novel like they did with Halo to finish off the story. I still want to see Gear 6. Hopefully they can like bring the Highbuster characters into Gear 6. Hopefully E-Day, like after E-Day, maybe there's a character or something in E-Day that is like going to be important to Gear 6. Um yeah, I don't know. But also, as much as I like Hivebusters, I can't forget my game did not save. So as good as E-Day might be, who knows what kind of bugs it's going to be filled with. I don't know, but definitely got to give credit where credit was due. Hivebusters was very, very good. But yeah, and it elevates the package of Gears 5. But yeah, Gears 5 was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I hope they could recover the story. Like, I still love Gears. Hivebusters reminds me how much of Gears. Again, like when I'm playing Gears 5, I was afraid, am I experiencing burnout from just playing like, 6 Gears of War games back to back to back to back to back. But Hivebusters I had a great time with, so I don't think it was burnout. I just think Gears 5 is just that bad. Um, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments if you made it this far in the video. I really appreciate you sticking around. I'm excited for Gears of War E-Day later this year. I do want to play Gears Tactics. I'm not going to play that like right next. I'm going to give it a little bit of break. Maybe that'll be like a summer game or something. I don't want to be burnt out going into Gears of War E-Day, so I'm glad I finished this marathon now. It's crazy that I finished the marathon now, but yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you made it this far into like what, an hour-long video about Gears of War 5, I really appreciate it. Thank you. See you in the next video. Later.